What's up, everybody? Straw hats are cool here, and we are back again with another video. We are here again with Market Watch. So before we get into today's video, just want to say thank you again as always for the support. I still can't believe we've already achieved 1,000 subscribers, so thank you all so much for that. I've got some things planned to kind of celebrate here in the next couple weeks, but it did sneak up on me a little faster than I was expecting, so do bear with me. So kind of hoping around Thanksgiving week I'll have some stuff ready to do a little celebration. Thanksgiving being a good time for that, I think, to kind of show my thanks to everyone who's coming out and supporting the channel and all that good stuff. As always, if you're enjoying the content, please do consider to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. Only about 12% of my viewers are subscribed to the channel, so if you want to show me some support, I really do appreciate it. But we've got some exciting stuff to talk about this week. So, as I'm sure you've already seen, Manga Shanks has once again seen a price increase. Currently the cheapest listing is just shy of $1,800. With that said, however, they are not selling at this price, at least not yet. The most expensive one that sold was a graded copy at $1,300, but really the raw copies are not selling for more than $1,000 as of right now. I don't know what to say. I don't think anyone would buy a raw ungraded card at this price. I think they'll probably come back down, but I'm also surprised that they even, I'm not really surprised they got to $1,000, but yeah, I would never spend $1,000 on an ungraded card. So yeah. Same sort of dealio we've got with Ace, only Ace is now higher than Manga Shanks. If you look at this graph here, that's kind of fun, right? Going to the moon with Manga Ace. Cheapest listing is at $2,000 from a non-gold star seller with only 55 listings. Next one is almost 2,400. And they were selling at about 900, which does just kind of hurt my soul a little, because like I said in a previous episode, I did trade one to a friend. It was to a friend, so I'm not gonna beat myself up too much, but that's when the value was at around $550, so it does hurt a little bit. So yeah, Manga Ace and Manga Shanks have seen a crazy increase in price. Manga Soga King, again, we're seeing a little bit of an increase with the price, and there aren't a lot of listings left. So yeah, maybe I should have bought one of these when they were a little cheaper just to have one. So yeah, our Manga Rares are trending upward yet again. And Sabo, same deal, not as much. Sabo is actually now the cheapest manga you can get right now, and to be honest, that makes sense because Opio 4 has had a lot more printings than some of the previous sets. So you know, as things go on, there will be more and more product available, so the prices might not be as high for future Manga Rares. However, I would not be at all surprised if the Luffy, Law, and Kid from set 5 aren't a little bit more than these ones. I feel like anything less than 500 would probably surprise me for either of those three, and Luffy will probably be the most expensive of those three. He's the poster child of One Piece, so that would make sense. So that is it for the Manga Rares, but as we can see, the Manga Rares have once again kind of exploded in price, and I don't have a whole lot to say on it. Just completely baffling to me that people are paying that kind of money, but you know, at the same time, I kind of get it. I really wish I had a copy of Shanks, but looks like that won't be happening anytime soon. So enough about the manga rares. Let's jump into OP01. Not a whole lot going on in the OP01 market right now, but we do see that Law and Zoro have cooled off just a little bit. Law's actually cooled off a little more than even I was expecting, back down under 300. Still good leader into set 5. $300 for a leader is a lot. Oh, it is 300. That listing has sold. So 300, and then yeah, quickly back up into kind of where I was expecting, around the $350 range. So if you want your Law, again, it's looking like $300 is about as good as you're going to be able to do on that. Same deal with Zoro. Both good leaders, both popular characters. Seems like this is where they have settled, at least until maybe we get another reprint of set 1. But as far as I'm aware, there has been no mention of any reprints for set 1 that haven't already gone out. So do keep that in mind. Dofi, I think he's gone up a little more, and Odin has dropped down a little bit. Everything else leader wise is about the same as before, so not a lot to talk about there. But yep, Zoro and Law have settled around 300 again, so is what it is. If you wanted one, hopefully you grabbed one right after the initial ban announcement, as they did drop down to about 200 before they announced that the bans would be undone, and now they've shot up to 300. So kind of a crazy week for the market there. Your secret rare Shanks from OP01 is at $25 now, is seeing a bit of a spike in price as well. We're seeing that with just about all of the OP01 cards. This is happening. And for Shanks, I know there are some of the red purple Luffy lists that are running it, at least for the time being. Once we get set 5 stuff, I don't think any red purple Luffy list will be playing it, but for the time being, the people who want to play with red purple Luffy for the remainder of the OP04 format, this is one of their big boss monsters of choice. And it's Shanks, he's cool. It's honestly one of my favorite art still. I really like this art. Yeah, $25 on the Shanks. It's not terrible, but also not the best card out there. So yeah, the parallel rare, or the alt art version of the Shanks, is also gone up. It's $60 now. They were at 30 not so long ago. As you can see here, 30. None of the listings have sold at a price much above 30, so we'll see what ends up happening with the price. For the time being, I would probably avoid this one. Don't panic and buy it if you want a copy. Usually when prices like this go up, like this one's almost doubled, when they see this kind of increase, usually no one will buy them, and then they'll start dropping down. I expect this one to go down to probably somewhere around $40-$45 in the end, but we'll see what ends up happening with that. Zoro alt art, the Rush Zoro, is coming down a little bit. It's about $110 right now, and if I do recall, it did get up to about $120. So yeah, there were some listings a little over that were selling, but not a lot of sales on this card recently. You can see since in November we've had about a dozen sales or so. So yeah, the Zoro still it seems pretty stable around $100. But with that said, it is a good card moving forward. I know the red purple Law deck plays it. Red green Law is still gonna play it. Zoro decks will still play it. So there are a lot of decks that can still utilize this card, and it's just it's a very good card all around. It's been seeing play since release, so I expect this one will over time go up in price a little more, but right now we're pretty stable around $100. However, there are only 24 listings, so you know, if a bunch of people do decide to start picking them up, I could see it going up pretty soon. Moving on, we've got Nami. Now, Nami is still a little higher than I would have thought. I figured it would probably drop down, like I said in the last video, closer to 220, 230. They're sitting at 285 right now, and this one's not selling, but there were people who did buy a couple at 300. I don't know why I would not have done that. I don't understand. And then there were some that's the first edition ones that sold at 400, which is a little absurd. 5 of them. I still think they should drop down, but it might take a little longer now because there were some people who did decide to buy at 300. And like I said, I would wait still. I think they'll go down. I think they'll settle around where they were. Maybe now we're looking at closer to 250, but this one hasn't sold all day. There's been no sales today. So I expect someone's gonna kind of bite the bullet and drop the price on their listing, and then we'll see where things go from there. Your Mihawk, it's down a little bit, down to $18. This card sees less play going into OPO5. It's seen quite a bit of play in the OPO4 format, but it does see less play going into set 5. A lot of people, I think, initially thought this card was going to be really good in the blue-black Sakazuki deck, but from what we're seeing as the Eastern format of OPO5 is kind of starting to come to a close. It's not going to be too long before they get access to OPO6. We're seeing that the lists that are seeing success are not running Mihawk, and the blue-black Sakazuki deck is seeing an absurd amount of success without this card. So probably part of why the price is starting to drop. We're at the tail end of our format, and it's not going to see as much play into next format. With that said, though, it's still a really good card. It could become good again. It doesn't hurt to have your copies, so if prices continue to drop, I would say go ahead and pick up your copies if you've not done so already. Law is at an all-time low for the SR. Well, not an all-time low, but a low in recent time. It's down to about $18 with shipping. Again, this is a result of the, banned and restricted announcement. I think that the reason these prices are starting to cool down, I would say this is probably as good of a price as you're going to be able to get on these. So I would probably, if you don't have any set 1 laws, I would probably pick these up now, as I do think they're just a very good card. It's a 5-cost 6k blocker with a very strong on play effect. Law is still good in the next set. This card, I think, it's a very good card and will continue to see play for some time still. Same deal with the alt. It's down a little bit. Same reasons as the regular SR. So if you want an alt, probably not a terrible price to pick it up at. OPO1 stuff is still on the rise. As time goes on, it's going to be longer and longer since product's been out of print, and these cards are going to get harder to obtain. So if you want your law, I say $70 isn't terrible. All right, that's it for OPO1. Let's move on to OPO2. It's already 14 minutes, so I'm going to try and talk a little faster. Not a lot's changed in the leaders on the leader side of things for OPO2, so not going to talk too much here. Newgate's most expensive again at about $100. We've got your SR Ace, which has come down in price just a little bit. Not a lot, but it's down a little bit. Again, Newgate doesn't see a lot of play next set. There was a list I saw recently that was seeing some success in some event. I'm not sure how big that event was, but Newgate sees a lot less play next set. And The only deck that really utilizes this card next set is Red Purple Law, unless I've missed something. Maybe a little bit of Ace if people decide to still play that deck, but that deck I think completely falls off next set. So yeah, Ace is coming down. Might go down a little more, so just keep your eye on it if you want your copies. Newgate is up a little bit. And like I said in kind of the mini update earlier this week, there was no mention that this card was getting unrestricted alongside the other cards on December 8th. But I think some people are just kind of hopeful that it will now that they've announced that those cards are getting unrestricted, as the regions where OP05 is already legal have had access to this card from the beginning. It never got restricted there, if you didn't know that. So I think some people are just hopeful that this card will get unrestricted, so they're starting to prepare now, so that if and when it does get unrestricted, they've already got their copies before prices explode. So if you want to take that gamble, go for it. I don't know if I'd say I'd advise it, but I wouldn't be surprised if this card gets unrestricted. Same deal with the alt. The alt has gone up quite a bit to $50 now, but I already talked about this one in the last episode. So again, just people are hopeful that this card will get unrestricted, but again, I don't believe there was any mention that it would be officially unrestricted. So unless I missed something, there's not any guarantee this card will be unrestricted alongside the other cards, so keep that in mind. Judgment of Hell. This one snuck up on me. I don't know when this price hike happened, but yeah, it was about $2 just the other day, and now all of a sudden it is shot up to $5, and that's with $1 shipping. So Judgment of Hell, I'm not sure. I mean, it's a good card, don't get me wrong. I don't know what deck is playing this heavily or why the price shot up so significantly all of a sudden. So if someone knows the answer to that, please do let me know down in the comments. But Judgment of Hell is now $5. So if you've got some bulk OPO2 rares, maybe check and see if you've got some extra copies of this card lying around to make yourself some quick money off of those. Your Magellan is at $12. It's cooled down a little bit. I think at its highest point it was at $16, and now we're seeing it is dropped down to about $12. And there are a lot of listings here. If we take a look, most of these listings are kind of around that $12 mark. So I think this is kind of going to be where the price settles for the time being. A lot of listings, it's $12. A lot of people have already picked up their copies, so I expect things will kind of settle down now on Magellan, but we'll see where things go. Odin has gone up in price a little bit again. When they initially revealed the OPO6 green yellow Yamato leader, this card was bought out and shot up to, I want to say, around $30. No one was buying them though, so they did drop down back to about where they were, around $12, $13. But over the last week they have creeped up in price again, and now we are just shy of $30 yet again. So if you didn't have your Odins, you might be out of luck, because your OPO1 and OPO2 cards are just starting to go up in price pretty steadily. So this one might not drop down a whole lot. They are not selling. Well, no, they are selling at this price. I take that back. So might have waited too long on your Odins if you wanted to pick those up, but I still don't think this card will be super playable. So you have one for your collection, I'd say that's fine. Or if you invested in some to resell later, your investment's probably paying off, and I would honestly probably keep an eye on the price and consider unloading those soon. Kuzan, your regular secret rare is going down. It's been around $40 and it is starting to go down. 10 cost Guzan just not seeing a whole lot of play this set or next set. It'll see less play next set, I think. So, you know, price is coming down, but I would still keep some copies of this one, as I think it's a card that could just be good out of nowhere. However, the alt art is going back up in price again. So generally we see with these cards that when one variant goes down, the alt goes down as well, or if the card goes up, so does its alt. But the regular is going down and the alt is going up. We're at nearly $60. I'm not sure what to think about this one, because like I said, this card doesn't see much play next set at all. It's not seeing a whole lot of play this set, so I'd probably wait, but keep an eye on it, because these older sets 1 and 2, prices are quickly getting out of hand, and I hope Bandai recognizes this and does something about it, be it reprints or just more like kind of like they did with the starter decks, where it's like reprints with different arts. Suru, let me update this one. Yeah, Suru is at $1.25, and I just wanted to mention this because there's only 2 listings at $1.25, and then it's $2, and this isn't uncommon, so you might have a lot of these in your bulk. So with the prices going up, it's definitely something to keep an eye on. So just wanted to mention that. But that is it for OP02. Let's talk about OP03. Not a lot of changes here. However, Arlong has gone up in price. Arlong was around $30. Yep, around $30. Now he's at just shy of $50. So not too sure what's going on there, but your Arlong alt has gone up. And Nami and Katakuri, I want to say, have gone down a little bit. Again, this is probably a result of bans happening and then bans being undone, because people thought these 2 leaders were going to be a lot better in the post-ban format, but we've only got the post-ban format for a month. So the prices shot up a little and then they've cooled down. Everything else is about the same though, so not a lot to talk about here. SR Polys at $4. I've mentioned this one a couple different episodes now, and I want to say we saw it when it was like $1, then $2, and now we're up at $4. So hopefully you picked up your copies of Poly while they were a little cheaper, but if not, I would still probably go ahead and do it now if you have any plans on playing the Purple Luffy from set 5, as this card is typically played at 4 in those decks. And as we get closer to set 5, I still expect this price will go up just a tad bit more. So if you don't have polys, I'd still say probably pick them up, but hopefully you already picked them up if you plan to play Purple Luffy. Soga King alt is going down. It's been a pretty heavily played card this set between Queen and not Purple Crocodile, Mono Blue Crocodile. But going into the next set, I don't think this card sees any play at all, so this makes sense. If you don't have a copy for your collection, might be a good time to pick one up. The art really is phenomenal on this one, so if you don't have one, I'd highly recommend picking one up just to have it. It's really good art, especially seeing the foiling in person. Pudding is down a little bit. Yellow hype is cooling down now that the bans are being undone. However, I will say it's a searcher for Big Mom stuff, and the Big Mom stuff is still very good in the set 5. So if you want to bling out your decks, I don't think this is a bad price at all, to be honest with you. So that's about it there. Your Big Mom alt is coming down. Again, this one is so weird. It goes up and down, but it's like just fluctuated, but it's between like $25-$40. Reason it might be coming down though is that today the Japanese One Piece trading card game Twitter did spoil one of the special rare arts for set 6, and it is a different art for this 10 cost Big Mom. It's not as scary as this one, so people might be a little more drawn to that one, and now they're just kind of going to patiently wait for that one if they want to continue and play the Charlotte Linlin. However, we don't get set 6 until like probably like April, March, sometime around there. Not too sure, probably March, April. So we still got a minute before we get set 6. So I don't think this is a bad price. Big Mom sees a lot of play into set 5 as well, especially with Katakuri kind of coming back as a pretty dominant deck from what I can tell. So if you want to bling out your deck, I don't think this is a bad price. And I just wanted to talk about Wanted Luffy because its price has been around $75 forever, and I don't think it'll drop because it is just a card that collectors are really going to want. However, in set 5 we do get the art, which was drawn by Ichiro Oda, which is the author of One Piece, for those who are not aware. And I think that art's a lot better than this one, and you get one in every case, if my understanding is correct. And that was in Japan, so we might get 2 per case here. Not too sure about that though. I think it was 1 per case in Japan or the regions where set 5 is already released. And I think that art's a lot better than this one, so you might see its price drop down a little bit, but from a collector standpoint, this is still a card that a lot of people are going to want to have. So I expect its price will stay around here, but just something to keep in mind. I wouldn't go ahead and pick up 4 of these if you want to play them in your deck, because we're getting the Oda art next set, and I think it looks a lot better than this one. Alright, that's it for OP03. On to OP04. Nothing's really changed with the leaders. They're all pretty cheap. I expect Rebecca to come down. I'm still kind of surprised that this one's continuing to go down because it has been seeing some decent success over here. Not that. Boa Hancock SP is coming down. This was the most expensive SP, but it did kind of surprise me as to why it was, because this card isn't one that's seeing hardly any play right now. So I'm not surprised that the price is starting to come down. So if you were missing your Boa SP, might keep your eye on this, see if it gets any lower, and then go ahead and pick one up. $70 still, kind of expensive, but as you can see here, there were some listings at $59, so $60. So just keep your eye out, and maybe you'll find a cheap listing and you can snag that if you need one for your collection. SR Sabos at $5 with the $1 shipping. I still think if you don't have your Sabos, I would pick them up. They've been at $5, and yeah, there's a lot of listings, but it does see play in the blue-black Sakazuki deck, so if you plan on playing that, go ahead and pick them up now, because there's a chance they go up in price. I don't see it going down in price, and this is just a very good card all around. 5 cost, 6,000 power blocker is just one of the best stat lines in the game, and this one even has counter, makes everything immune to effects for a turn, or at least KO by effects, and then you also get to filter your hand, which is just all around lots of good effects. So if you don't have your Sabos, I would pick them up. Kind of the same deal with the alt art. I'm still a little surprised that this one isn't more than it is, but it might be because there is another art for this card, which we will be getting pretty soon. It will be the card that is given out to the winner of the sealed battle events, which should begin around the end of this month and run through most of December. So check your local game stores for that. It will be a sealed battle. I think it'll be using OP04 stuff, so you get 6 packs, a Luffy leader, which I do believe you'll have to use for the event. It's all colors, all types, all attributes, so you can do some fun stuff with that. I think it'll be a fun event, so be sure to check your LGS and see if they're holding one of those. But the winner does get a pretty cool art for this Sabo. It's kind of got like a little Ace and Luffy in the art as well, kind of in the flames, which is very cool. So might be the reason why this card hasn't seen as much of a price increase as I was expecting, given how playable it is. So maybe people are just holding out to get their copies of that winter version instead. So that's it for OP04. Dawn, you know, not a lot's changed here. The Devil Fruit Dawn, however, are pretty expensive now that those are up on here. So if you were wanting to get like 10 of these, it's going to be a little expensive. So yeah, they are good looking Dawn. I have not picked up any copies of these yet, so I will definitely have to do that at some point. The Zoro from the starter deck 10, it is out now. So finally, Rush Zoro is a very affordable card. Don't be, you know, don't just pick up those set 1 versions, just pick up these copies. They're actually textured too, so they look really, really nice. And they're super cheap, because if you pick up 2 copies of the starter deck to get a playset of everything, you'll actually get 8 copies of this card. So most people are going to have extras if they're picking up those starter decks. So this card is super, super cheap, which is great to see. And I hope that Bandai does this for more starter decks moving forward. A little disappointed with the Uta one that the film Nami didn't get a reprint in that one. It was like all film reprints, but we didn't get Nami, which I think was a misstep by Bandai, but is what it is. Championship Jozu is now up on TCG Player. They're at $225. None of the other ones are up here yet, so the Marco and Newgate are not yet on TCG Player, but Jozu's here. He's $225, and I'd say that's fair given that Borsellino and the Blocker Marco were initially around that $200 price point. So I'd say that makes sense. I think this is a fair price. It's a prize card. Looks very nice. These etched borders really do look incredible, especially in person. So yeah. The Treasure Cup Zoro has gone down a lot in price. These have been at like $3,000, I want to say, but no one was buying them, so they've dropped the price and now a couple have sold. So Treasure Cup Zoro is now at $1,300, which is a lot cheaper than they have been. So I don't think many people are going to go out of their way to pick this one up. It is a very good looking art. Blue foiling just looks very good in this card game. So yeah, just thought something to bring up. Again, like I said, I don't think any of you who are watching this are probably going to go out and pick one up, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Jewelry Bonnie winner card is down. Again, all the Law stuff is down, but I don't really see any reason why. Law is still a good deck. I was watching the stream from the Pasadena event earlier today, and Law was still doing pretty well. It's going to do pretty well next set. If you like Law, if you want to play Law, pick up your Bonnies. This is probably a fair price. I know I just sold a couple at like $40, $45, so down under 30 ain't too bad, I would say. Gordon is up again. This card is just all over the place, but if you want to play Red Purple Law, you need this card. So I'm not going to talk about this one much because I've talked about it almost every week. The Kobe from the film pack is at $2 right now. And the only reason I'm bringing this one up is because if you have any plans to play Bello Betty into set 5, you'll probably want this card, and it's worth picking up at this price, I would say, because if there's a bunch of people who decide they want to play Bello Betty once set 5 releases, I think this price will go up. There are 35 listings right now, which isn't a ton. Bello Betty hasn't seen huge amounts of success in OP05 in regions where it's already out, but it's a playable deck. It's a cool deck, I think. And so if you want to play it, I would go ahead and pick up some copies of this Kobe now, because they're probably not getting cheaper than this, and they're only going up. So just something to keep in mind if you want to play Bello Betty. Event Pack Suru has gone up. I would say this is almost entirely due again to the fact that Blue Black Sakazuki is incredibly dominant. For those of you who hated Newgate, you're probably going to learn to hate Blue Black Sakazuki in set 5, because I want to say in recent events in regions where OP05 is already out, it's been like almost 50% of the pie chart for the topping deck. So it's almost like worse than Newgate. But in NA, people will probably whine and cry about it and something will get banned. So don't worry too much, because we get it easy over here. Chopper is down $30. If you want to play film, maybe pick these up. Still a lot, I think, but it is down from where it was. Hopefully no one bought them when they were like $50. It doesn't look like it. So yeah, they did get up to $50, but no one bought them, which is good. Glad to see that. So now they're back down about $33. Store Championship Sanji is $20 now. It's been around $10. They're not selling at this price yet, but I bet someone's gonna bite on this one. The Katakuri decks that I've seen doing well in OP05 are running this card at 4. So something to keep in mind there is that, you know, Store Championship Sanji, it's the max rarity version of this card right now. However, I will say that I know that Japan at least got another version of this card. I'm not sure they ever got this version though, but they did get another version of the card over there, so maybe we will as well. But $20. Judge Yamato and Judge Doflamingo have gone up in price. I know I've got some of these extra to sell. I run most of the events at my local game stores, so I end up getting most of the Judge packs. So I've got quite a few of these now. Not too sure why all of a sudden they've gone up in price. All of the Judge cards for the most part have been pretty inexpensive, but they are going up. Maybe it's because of the yellow green Yamato and the fact that this Doflamingo is just an incredible card, but I'm not too sure. I guess it does make sense though for the Doflamingo, seeing as the regular rare has been about $4, so didn't make any sense that this one was about the same price as that. Alright, so that is it for promo stuff. Let's quickly talk about pre-release. Queen is at $33. Now keep this in mind, because when we get to talking about starter decks, you're going to be maybe a little bit surprised with this one. So Super Pre-Release Queen is at $33. Khalifa, again, it's expensive. It's $30. If you have them, sell them. I can't believe someone bought 4 copies at $32. That is over $120 for an uncommon with a little stamp. For a card that's uncommon is like under $1, I'm sure. It's not worth it. Don't buy it. If you got them, sell them. Good on this guy for actually selling them, and I can't believe someone actually bought them, but hey, this guy's probably happy right now. Shirahoshi is still $15, which surprises me because the Dash Pack one exists and it looks a lot better than this one, in my opinion. So just keep that in mind. I sold mine and I picked up some Dash Pack ones because, you know, the pre-release stamp is whatever to me. I kept 1 copy just to say I have one, but I sold my other, because I had like 3 copies of this one, so I sold them. Picked up some Dash Pack ones. The Virgo, again, someone did mention that this is a Navy searchable 2K, so that might be right. It went up in price. Maybe they're playing it in the blue-black Sakazuki. But there are other Navy searchable 2Ks too. You've got the Garp and the Sengoku, and the Garp has an ult. And I don't really think playing this card is winning you any games. But maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't think this card's good. I don't think it's worth $20. And clearly, most people don't either because they're not selling. But yeah, worth mentioning. Hiyori is coming down in price. There is only one listing at $7, so you might want to pick that up. But the Hiyori's at $7, and I think this card's going to see a lot of play in the green-yellow Yamato deck in set 6. So I think, you know, go ahead and pick up that 1 copy that's at $7 right now. I think it's worth it. Domino's got no listings unless this has changed in the almost 40 minutes that I've been recording. It has not. This video is getting long, so I'm going to speed up. So no listings on Domino's, so whoever lists the first copies kind of got control of the market at that point, but I don't think people are going to pay much more than $10 for this one. I wanted to bring up this stupid thing just because, as I've said, like with the Domino, there are some purple Luffy decks that are running an Impel Down package, and the purple Luffy decks do run a high count of 4-cost 6k characters, so they do run this copy alongside typically page 1 just because it's searchable. So if you want to bling out an Impel Down hybrid purple Luffy deck, pick up a couple copies of this guy. It is going up in price, and it's probably because of the purple Luffy stuff, but still relatively inexpensive. Zoro's still high. Robin's $30. I think this card's bad even in the Uta deck. I don't get it. And Ice Age is $12. Alright, now onto the starter deck stuff. So keep in mind, pre-release Queen was $33. Your regular Queen is $30. Just, if you want your Queens, I guess bite the bullet and get the pre-release one. I don't see any reason why these two cards should be effectively the same price. But Queens are crazy right now. Starter decks 4s are crazy right now. Hopefully you got your Queens. Hopefully you picked up starter decks when the game was new. But if you're new to the game, I'm sorry, because this is the only printing of Queen, and as of right now, there's no signs of it being reprinted in anything, which is a little unfortunate. Film starters are still expensive, and I did just want to point out that Ein had a buyout. This is because of Red Purple Law. This deck is played in Red Purple Law because you can play it off the leader effect and it ramps. So yeah, it's very good in the Red Purple Law deck, and it had a buyout, so it's at $3 now. This is, I believe, a 4 of in the starter deck though, so maybe you have some extra copies lying around. However, they're not selling at this price, so do keep that in mind. Starter deck 6 is still expensive. Great Eruption, Hina. These are kind of like the two best cards in the deck now because Shockwave doesn't see a lot of play, and neither does Garp. Tashiki's still good, but we've got the event pack art for that. And so Hina and Great Eruption, who would have thought? But they're expensive. It's still cheaper to buy the singles versus the starter deck though. And the starter deck 7, if you don't have them, again, I'm going to say it one more time, pick up your copies of starter deck 7. They're $25 right now, which is still above MSRP, but we're running out of listings. It's not long before they're well above $30. The value here is still good because Big Mom and Brule are two of your 2-ofs, and there are 4-ofs in most of the yellow decks in set 5. So please, if you've not done so already, pick up some yellow starter decks now. Alright, last thing to talk about is just kind of the other stuff. Gift pack stuff is, it's coming down a little again. Nami shot back up pretty high, and now they're down a little bit again. And I wanted to talk about, oh, what is this? There we go. There we go. I don't know what that was about. I want to talk about these binders that aren't out yet. Now, this guy here, I don't know who you are, but they've done this. They do it with all of them. They did not do it with all of them, just the 2 most recent ones. They've got these binders listed for pre-sale. Now, 1, never buy the pre-sales because they're always absurdly expensive. 2, this is you're still able to pre-order this on Premium Bandai. So if you want it, do that now. It's like $25. But don't buy these, please. Look at the 25th anniversary one. This is probably the most collectible of those. The 25th anniversary, it's all the straw hats. Now that it's out, it's $80. And yeah, that's a lot more than it was on Premium Bandai. But we're looking at $150, $160, $120. I can almost guarantee you that when these actually release, they'll be more on par with this. And honestly, I'd expect them to be a little lower. So I don't know what else to say there, but don't buy these. There are a couple listings that have sold, and I have to believe that it is the person who has them listed is like buying their own just to make it look like they're selling. But I don't know. But do yourself a favor and don't buy these now. If you want them, wait until they actually come out. Wait for prices to drop. I can almost guarantee they will. Anyways, this video is way too long, so we're going to end this here. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you watched till the end. I'm sure most of you just kind of click through it, and that's fine, but I want to get this information to you as always. So if you're enjoying the content, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel and hitting that little bell so you get notifications when my new Market Watch videos go live. Without further ado, I will catch you all in the next video. Peace.